Yo, what's up, podcast listeners? This is Vlad. I'm here with Abe and Diego, and we're gonna try. Well, actually, I'm gonna try this peach drink. You can find it here at the Golden Vapor Shop. Any location. I think they carry like a bunch of other cool stuff over there. But we're gonna get started with the conversation, and we're gonna lead with Abe now that he's actually here today.
Yeah, so I was sick last time. I think I had the norovirus. Stuff was coming out of me for both ends, and I was kind of crazy. But
I did not need to hear.
luckily, Vlad was able to get stuff together here with the Cars and Coffee that they had for the first time. We have Diego, the man himself, Lowclass Diego from what used to be Lowclass Militia, now Lowclass Events. 10 years of cars and friends and car gatherings and shows. Tell me, when did this begin, bro? Because I know my brother, like, he's kind of been involved, like, a little bit, and he was always like talking about it, and I didn't really tag along up until maybe like 3 or 4 years. So I have no experience in saying like, oh, I know all this shit, because I know the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So it's like, when did this start? Like, what triggered you?
I would say the lack of car meets back then. I would say I wasn't really involved at all. I just had my friends back at the West and a few cars, and they would tell us that there was meets out east. So I would say what triggered me to start it, if that's what you're really getting to, would be coming with some friends from the West Side, driving, I guess, to the east, to the bowling alleys where they used to host some meets back then that you'd pay and whatnot. And they didn't let us in. So it was a couple of euros back then, and I don't know if that was a thing or not, but we just stuck around the other side, and then I don't know, I just started organizing stuff with my friends at their restaurants, asking for permission. Or
any like particular names, like any restaurants?
I don't remember the name.
Yeah.
I don't remember name. I just remember my homie had a Mexican restaurant in Mesa, and it was just friends and friends of friends, and whoever found out. No pages, no Facebook, no Instagram, nothing.
Right.
So all text messages like, bring your own people.
Like forwarding, and this was like during the times where texting was like 1, 2, 3 keypad.
Yeah, there you go, exactly that.
Yeah.
So you make a group chat, and you see all that, and
that's
big
super.
mess.
That's super interesting because now we have it pretty easy. Like anybody can start a page. Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's throw down El Paso Schmeats.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you gotta get half of El Paso.
Wild. Yeah.
Right. And it's funny because my brother also, like, he mentions a few stories and says, like, when you say they didn't let us in, it's kind of like out of spite.
Yeah.
It's like,
Who knows?
Yeah,
We weren't nothing. So it was just a couple kids going to meet like everyone else does nowadays,
Right.
and yeah. So
how big was the time frame between, like, I'm gonna be doing a bunch of like meets and stuff where you realize, like, damn, like, this is a pretty decent like turnout to where I can make a show, bro? Because there's always that threshold you cross, and you're like, when can I make it a show?
So I never thought about it in the show perspective up until, I would say, 2 years. So it became a thing in 2012, and before I even graduated high school, we were already doing or going to other meets with this crew that my homie had called Strictly Hondas. So we had a couple cars back then that we'd cruise around with and mess around. To be completely honest, when I moved here, and up until a little bit before I started doing the whole meet thing, I didn't even know the car meets were a thing here.
Mm-hmm.
As stupid as that sounds, because you would watch back home in Nicaragua when I moved here in 07, 06. You'd come here watching Fast and the Furious, and you're here with the whole like mindset, like,
Right.
oh, okay, that's a movie only.
Mm-hmm.
It was up until I actually started paying attention to like other out of town shows that were actual thing. I had no clue they even existed. So for me, up until like 2010, 2011, I had no idea shows were even a thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Those gatherings for me were like non-existent.
Right.
So it was actually till I paid attention to Woost. Shout out Brandon. An old show that was a thing in Vegas back then, 10 years ago almost.
Yeah.
So that's what got it started for me, and I realized and I noticed how many people came together for something. So I thought, damn, like, we don't have that union in El
Right.
Paso. We lack that in El Paso. And from what I paid attention to at first, the big shows that would bother coming into town, like I think it was not a Hot Import Nights, IFO came one time to the strip or the drag strip back here in Clint. And they did it once, and that was it.
Yeah.
One and done. So after that, I was just like, dang, maybe it would be a thing, maybe not. So
Right. And you know, it's crazy because like when I barely even heard anything of it, it was already, I think, like 4 or 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I must have been like, I don't know, like 16, 14 maybe. So like, and keep in mind, I'm already like 27.
Yeah.
So it's been a thing over a while. I remember seeing the first video that like somebody put out about the hanger. How did that come about? Like, because there's people that are interested in like, the hanger. Like, it was in Springfest. It didn't start as Springfest. It started as a hanger.
No, it was a hanger thing. I remember when I actually, like mentioned before, I started paying attention to shows. There was a couple hanger shows like First Class Fitment in Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I worked in planes here and there with my uncle. So I was like,
shit.
damn, you know what? Maybe we have an outside airport here that would allow something like that.
Yeah.
So thankfully, this Francis Aviation, Francis, he allowed us. He believed. He was cool. I wouldn't say believe. I would say he was cool with us going.
Yeah, you kind of like, all right, guys, you can do it. Kinda
Yeah,
like gambled
I
on you
said
guys.
60 cars at the most, and dude, oh my God. That's where everything just
Blew up.
sparked up and
Interesting.
crazy. So,
And then
yeah.
I don't know like what the timeline was for like the banners because everybody always like, man, I know that was a topic of conversation. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was like super hot maybe like 4 years ago where like I want a low class banner.
Yeah.
And like I'm like the type to be. I've been told that I'm like like elitist when it comes to like the quality of stuff.
Yeah.
And I like there's a reason why I hold things to up to standard. Like you can't just get like a random low class banner. And I remember somebody tried to fake one out of town.
Yeah, there was a couple. There was a couple
Yeah.
even in Europe.
No shit.
Yeah, I made it to Europe.
That's
so.
insane.
It was
And
crazy.
so what's insane is like it was like a copyrighted logo. It wasn't just like a font.
Mhm.
I think was it Egmar who put that
Egmar,
together?
yeah.
Okay, shout out Egmar.
Mhm.
So I remember like, was it the banners first or was it the show first? Like was it the
Show,
main-
definitely show, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Uh-huh.
When it comes to like, what do you think has kept it all together? Because obviously for me, when I do something, I always like thank the people. But
Yeah.
when it comes to from like within, because obviously it's like a lot of sacrifice and like.
Oh, yeah.
So sure, you can thank the people, but like if you don't keep it doing, then it's not. Just
I would
them,
say
you
consistency.
know? Right.
I think I was watching a video last night. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Rick Ross. He was saying how to grow a brand and to see something come out of it completely. Like, yeah, you could make some money here and there at the beginning and it'll suck and you might want to give up, but 10 years to grow something. So, I mean, he's right on the point.
Yeah.
I didn't make this my living up until 2 years after I graduated college.
Yeah.
So I was just another regular kid looking for a job without even knowing that I could make something of what I love doing. So
And like always, everybody just sees it now. They're like, "Oh man, can you imagine how much this makes and shit?" It was
yeah,
like, but it
of
wasn't
course.
always like that.
Yeah,
you know?
of course. But I wish they would be on any promoter shoes on
Exactly.
any kind of event. Like you have no idea how much stress it takes, time. Like at first, oh my God. Like
Yeah,
you
and then,
know
like-
me, you know how stressed I get, you
Bro,
know
and
how
then
much
you don't start with like all the connections from the get go. So trying to build those relationships from scratch is insane. Now that you
No,
kind of
yeah.
have the experience, like okay, you know, but it's like, dude, it's literally starting from zero.
The beginning was the hardest part, knocking on doors from people that had no idea who we are. And to this day, we still ask people that don't know who we are, and that's cool, you know?
But we still get turned down, even
yeah,
though,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Which is
for
insane.
sure. I actually had a thing that I wanted to bring up here that we would make the sacrifice and pay out of our own money to try and make stuff happen here in El Paso. Like, oh, why don't you bring Rodiform? Why don't you bring Toyo? Man, I talked to all those people at SEMA, and they would look at me and tell me straight up, this is what one of the managers told me. We don't do those events.
like making it like minuscule. That's, you know what I'm
So
saying?
I know they did other events, but it's cool, you know. Like we've had the support of other people locally, so I think that's what has definitely built it overall. Because 95% of the people that come down are local,
Yeah.
local companies, local people. So
Yeah, big shout out again. Big shout out Golden Vapor. You know, been one of the anchors that also for us too. Like
sure.
when it came down to Stan Small, I remember he reached out to us, and it's always like a thing that we bring up. Like he reached out to me, and I kind of put him on pause a little bit because I was like, I don't know how to deal with it. Like I'm still trying to like weigh my options and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you hit me up, and you're like, hey, if you don't answer him, he's gonna pull out. And I was like, oh fuck. So I answered right then and there, and like we figured something out. You know, but from your perspective, you know, because you, whether you like to admit it or not, like you've pioneered what it is to create a gathering here. Like, I feel like a lot of the standard has been because of like the low class thing. So when people try to put something together, like that is a standard to look up to, you know. And I know that you guys have, as of lately, kind of pulled out of doing the street stuff because it just gets out of control.
Yep.
And like I've seen that as well. But from your perspective, looking from the outside and now, how do you think it's changed? Like, how do you think it's changed from when you started to now? Like now that you're not directly involved with what the street scene is, you know what I'm saying?
First of all, from my point of view, I would say obviously people grow up.
Yeah.
They get out of the scene. And I think this whole new generation, man, it just lacks so much respect and common sense that I've heard you and I've heard multiple people bring it up to previous podcasts that you've had on how this just generation is not the same as it used to be. They do the things for the wrong reasons. It's either photography or cars or any other thing that you might want to be involved with. I feel that it's something so temporary. Like back then, and I still have a few friends that they would be building a car throughout the years. And now you see these kids being in the car scene and 2 years pass by and, oh, I sold it and I got a truck.
Right.
Like
they lose the passion that was never there. It was just for the
exactly.
interest, right?
So you just don't leave. It's like if you're really into it, you're going to grow old into the scene and you're going to be into it until, till you can no more.
Right. Insane.
So... yeah.
And I've had my fair share of that too. And it's crazy because like when I got into the whole thing, like I honestly never felt like from the moment that I fell in love with what I was doing, I didn't never thought like, it's just going to fizzle out. It's crazy because we 100 followers, 200 followers, 2,000 followers, 22. And it's like, I still don't lose that like passion for what it is I'm doing. It's not this exact same thing you're doing, but it's like in those same like scene and stuff. So it's super interesting that you say that because I've had my fair share of friends who are doing that, who are like, have a car and stuff. And then, they're not in the scene anymore. Whatever. And it pisses me off because it's like, dude, you're not about it.
Right.
Same thing with like the photographer friends that I have. I'm like, you guys know, I've told you multiple times, like this is stuff that I tell your face, like the shows, when it comes to the out of town shows, like, hey, let's make plans to go. I'm like, oh, I can't, whatever. Like I'm over here calling out of work.
Yeah.
I'm over here like literally like no call, no showing. And it's like, you're not about it. Like, what do you got to say for people who are involved and you're like, you're not about it? Like, can you tell when someone's not about it? Or have you ever been disappointed and feeling like, oh shit, I thought you were about it, bro?
I mean, not like that, but just like I mentioned, this whole generation now, like people just don't bother. Like before, we would see it as fun and taking it out there to like make memories with like 20, 30 car friends that would go to shows. And now I feel that doesn't even exist. Like people hardly ever travel for anything anymore.
Right.
So that's another big subject in the scene. Like, you get, for example, Austin gets 10, 12 main car shows a year, but Austin peeps don't bother going to any other city. So it's rare that you get them. Rare. Right. So
obviously, I mean, like when it comes to the content creation, it's super interesting because I've been pretty, like I've bumped into some multiple people, like for example, MBHD Media. One time he came out, I don't know if that was like a thing that you maybe had an agreement with him or whatever, but I met him in Ruidoso. He's like, oh yeah, man, what's up? And he's like, he was not even local.
Yeah.
Like I thought he was local. So
Colorado.
So that's like super respectable for guys like that, you know? Like, so every time I see somebody traveling, go into the low class shit, go into other shit, like, damn, dude, props to you, you know? Because that shit ain't easy, bro.
Yeah,
There's
for sure.
a lot of sacrifice. As far as low class militia, I've always like, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know where low class comes from. You know, there's a hierarchy of like the old Europeans having classes, you know? So I figured that because of the cars being low. But what made you decide on low class militia?
I felt that the low class needed something else aside just the low class. Yeah. Well, not no more, I
Which
guess.
is interesting because now it's low class.
So, I don't know. I just honestly just sat down in bed and started writing names that kind of liked and not liked, made sense, and started putting it together. And back then, I remember a couple of people mentioning like, why the hell are you going to do militia? There's already metal militia.
Right.
So, I mean, I guarantee you half of the people listening here don't know what metal militia is.
I know exactly what the metal militia was.
Yeah, so that was a thing back then. So I was like, no, it has nothing to do with that. Yeah. Like a militia is like nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound super cool, but it's crazy because like eventually it evolved to that where it's like low class. Everybody just says low class. You say low class militia, but nobody says after my low class militia. You know?
So that's why eventually, and not so long ago, a year? Maybe a couple of months, I changed it to events.
I remember that. And I was, even me, like I was a little bit nervous as to like the handle because it's like, what's it gonna be now? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like for some people, the consensus has been like, oh, like they've gone commercial, or you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like, well,
yeah.
yes and no, because like at the same time, like that's what it is now. You know what I'm saying? Like it's evolved, and there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. You know. Speaking of the brand, like with that being said, like what do you want this brand to represent? Like what have you been aiming for this whole time? Because obviously it's cars, friends and cars gatherings. You know.
Making good times with friends for sure. That's honestly, I think what my whole life is all about. If I'm, what do I say? No, just really, honestly, if I'm not planning car shows or planning trips to go
Right.
somewhere else with friends, and always trying to do stuff with friends. So I
Right.
think that's the main thing. Because if I'm being honest, all the people that throughout the years have came on and joined us and became part of what we do, and one way or another helped us, it's like it's been filtering people through the years. And now I feel that the past 4 or 5 years, it's been the same people constantly.
It's like molded to what is
Yeah.
like strongest of everyone.
And it's like you said, like, you're not about it. Okay, well, maybe you were about it. And
not as much as you
yeah,
should have been or you were at one
yeah,
point.
so they just decided to carry on with other things in life,
Right.
which is understandable.
Which is fine, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, that's not what I need. It doesn't align with me no more, kind of type. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
it. I get that.
Yeah.
When it comes to the out of town growth, because like I know as of like actually, sorry, before going to that point, I think you actually have established the whole cars and friends gatherings. I feel like the quote has been put on the flyers and the stuff that we've done. What as of like the last 2 years? When did you decide to put that on there? I think that was like 2 years ago, no? Or before that?
On the flyers, perhaps 2 years, but I've had it in the
Like a
the
motto?
booths, for example.
Interesting.
That red one that we had back like 7 years ago.
Yeah, because I honestly think like to give props to you, like where it's due. Like I think that's been accomplished fairly. Because when people talk about Redoso, dude,
Oh yeah.
it's like 10% or like 20% cars. You know what I'm saying? Like as if
Yeah.
like when it comes to the experience.
Yeah,
Like,
nobody pays attention to no car. out
Yeah,
there.
like sure they'll talk about like whatever, but I feel like not to knock down on like what the quality of the show or anything like
Yeah.
that or anything like that, but like when it comes to that's like the secondary part at this point.
Yeah,
like
for
people are
sure.
just enjoy the whole experience
Mhm.
and like just it kind of just gives them a reason to go
Yep.
and enjoy about cars. And I
Mhm.
feel like everybody has a general consensus like they're just looking forward to that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so I'm just kind of reminding you and putting that on the table. When it comes to out of town growth, well, what was like the first out of town show that you? Because I don't recall the first one you decided like okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And what led you to that? Because I know, like, I'm just gonna be like completely honest. Like, I wouldn't expect
Yeah.
Albuquerque to be such a fucking heavy hitter when it comes to like the quality that they have sometimes,
Yeah.
especially just because, you know, it has a reputation. You know, Albuquerque. I'm not trying to knock it or whatever, but it's
What kind of rep?
Breaking Bad didn't do it any favors. I'm just saying, as far as like the reputation. But you know,
I have a recording of you actually talking about like what you mean by that.
don't
He
be-
told us that we couldn't get or leave anything in our car.
Oh yeah.
He told us that we had to basically like have shifts around the clock when we slept there, so that they don't break in and nobody's like awake.
no, and they thought it was like. So one time I went. I think it was
And
like,
it's true.
I think it was like 2 years ago. I think we went and like we were right there near the Coliseum, and there's a McDonald's like around there somewhere. And we were driving by, and I think it was I think it was Trapper Dad, and Mark was his first time being out there. And like I said it super serious. I was like, hey, like it's kind of bad out here. Like make sure like you're like alert if your windows are down, whatever. When we pull up to McDonald's, and I thought I was joking. And when they realized, when they saw what the situation was, they're like, oh shit, like you weren't kidding, like the streets and the way they are. You know what I'm saying? So, it was, you know, kind of like a culture shock for them. But again, like for me, I wouldn't have thought, I don't think Albuquerque would have also been a way for me to approach that scene at all. Whatsoever, if it wasn't for the Lowclass thing. I wouldn't even know it existed. Like,
Yeah.
what pulled you that way?
Honestly, what pulled me was that we started getting supporters from Albuquerque.
Coming down.
Yeah, so I started paying attention to that because, yeah, of course I wanted to expand, not for any other means like financial or any of that, because I didn't really had the plan to grow like that way.
Mm-hmm.
But with the amount of support that we had from Albuquerque, and I want to say up until like a year or two, they would come down hard for Spring Fest. It was at least 60, 80 cars alone from Albuquerque.
Right.
So when I started noticing that and paying attention to all those numbers, I was like, you know what? It might be a thing. And I don't know if you ever went to the first ever Albuquerque event at the convention center. That
No.
thing was wild.
I remember seeing pictures of that. and I was like,
200 plus cars. Like, man, what I would do to go back to those days.
Yeah. Yeah, and like
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what like the situation is when it comes to like some of the dwindling, because even I've had some locals also say like, hey man, it's got to pick up again, like something's going on, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Shout out 30 Roku, like he's one of the OGs out there, I guess. Not OGs, but like one of the guys that have made like a name for himself when it comes to being able to do that. What have you noticed as far as like differences from different places you've gone to? Because now it's Arizona, it's New Mexico, it's Utah, it's Colorado. And is there a potential somewhere
Yeah,
else?
last night we signed OKC.
Oh,
Oklahoma.
shit, Oklahoma.
Yeah,
so okay, like the city, right?
Mhm. Oklahoma City.
So going back to the question, what have you noticed in the differences? Because I, as like a vendor,
Yeah.
as a photographer, somebody who is forced to speak to people also in a way, like not that I don't want to talk to people, but because I have to, I do see a lot of like differences, like in terms of like how the community responds to an outsider, how the community responds to someone who's pointing a camera at their face or their car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what do you notice in any difference? You don't have to say specifically any particular
No,
state.
I would say is the way they treat you and give back to you.
Right.
Definitely. Like the people that came here from Albuquerque, how they welcomed us even though they barely knew us. We had a couple of meets in Albuquerque before, testing for sure an event, you know? So the way that they just interacted with us and welcomed us and what they had to say, they just, I don't know, like something that they care about, you know?
Mhm.
And I feel that it's a little gone now.
Right.
But yeah, it was something really meaningful and definitely pushed me to go in those routes. Also, you might ask, why not LA? Why not Miami? Why not like any other big city, New York? Like, I mean, so far it hasn't been a priority.
Right.
One of the things I had, and I kind of still do, is go to cities where they don't approach events. Other events don't bother going there. Like, I think,
Like giving it to them. And giving it the
yeah,
opportunity.
exactly, yes. So Albuquerque didn't have that. I feel that El Paso didn't really have that.
Right.
So why not?
Midland 2026.
Yeah, it's happening this year.
Yeah, oh,
yeah, it's
shit.
already signed for.
Super sweet.
Medesa. So
nice.
we got the Horseshoe
Hell yeah.
Coliseum. So we'll see how
Yeah.
that goes. I'm really nervous, but they don't have anything. Nothing.
Yeah.
They might have a drift event that goes hard out there, and
And we do get a lot of Midland people to come.
we get a few,
Springfest.
and also there's another big meet that they do, but I would say no official events out there. So
Okay.
that's another reason why.
Hopefully soon.
Yep.
When it comes to any challenges, any particular challenges that you can think of when it comes to organizing something out of town, because here to a certain extent, like it's locked in. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
not saying that everybody's gonna say yes to you. every
Yeah,
single-
of course.
But like you have a more like connections now. But what's the biggest challenge for you when it comes to doing something out of town? Because I know you come into across the challenge was like, damn dude, this venue had to cancel with me like last
Yeah.
minute. You know, I was
Yeah.
witness of that and seeing that. I was like, fuck, you
Yeah.
know. So anything you can think off the top of your head when it comes to an out of town show?
I would say the first time shows would be getting the word out there, just like anyone and anything
Right.
else. Like getting cars in, like that's it. Getting cars in, no cars, no show. So it's a big risk. And
Right. Yeah,
You
because
just-
I thought about that too. For example, Utah, man.
Yeah.
So far. And then like you're like,
Mhm.
nobody knows me out there.
Yeah.
Where do you even start? I can't even think of that. I'm saying you don't have to spill your secrets, but
No,
like
for sure. No, it goes back to the kind of love that we got and the feedback that we got from the people out there. I feel, or maybe I just didn't do enough research, but Utah went from having Scrape Fest
right.
that's been there, like we have been here at Springfest
Right.
for 10 plus years. And then boom, out of nowhere, you
Right.
get 7+ events through the year. But yeah.
Down to earth, you know.
Yeah.
Also, I remember
Also, yeah.
because that's kind of like their like
Yeah, for
Springfest,
sure.
right? Yeah, because you know it's super interesting because we went to promote
Yeah.
what was Lowclass Colorado, and because of that, I ended up having a really good relationship with the Down to Earth guys.
Yeah.
They invite me every year. They're like, "Hey man, you want to come?" Last year they gave me a free like media pass. They hooked me up with gas, like you know what I'm saying. Like it was
Cool.
super cool. So
Yeah.
like it's not just about just giving them like a good experience, but like your energy rubs off like to whoever comes tags along with you to a
Yeah.
sense, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like because you have like the same mentality as far as like me trying to grow, you trying to grow, and like I don't know, I just kind of wanted to point it out that it rubs
No,
off.
for sure. And I would say something like all those people that are like, I would say in what we do and not so much the what do you call it? The multi-show. Oh, let's have 50 shows a year. Like the people from Peaked and cut that. The homies from Peaked and from Down to Earth that you were talking about. I feel that they have the exact same vision and passion that I have. Those are, I want to say,
The people you want to surround yourself
the
with.
only two guys that I really know or that I've gotten closer to that give me the same approach, the same vibe that, oh, it's not about having 50 shows during the year. It's about having a few and making them the best that you could do, you know?
Right.
So I think everyone has a different perspective, different point of view and things, but I would feel that I click the most with them.
Right. No, and
sure.
like I could agree because to a certain extent, like for example, we did stand small. Nothing crazy, nothing huge, cool. But I was super on the ropes about making sure that it was something different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like when it came down to my homie Trendsetter, he was the one who suggested, he's like, hey man, when you try to show, I'm like, I don't know. There's already, you know, the biggest thing here already happens. How can it be different or how can it be better? There's no way, you know what I'm saying? We could be different. I don't know about better, but we can be different, you know what I'm saying? And so he suggested the Coliseum. I was like, no, dude, like it's always going to be held to that bar.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, like, unfortunately, I don't know.
And
But
people give me a lot of crap for that. Like I talk to other promoters and I'm like, dude, I cannot do the same venue that you're doing with other 3 people. Like I just can't.
Exactly.
Like, what do you care, man? Just go and do it.
Yeah.
What? No. Like, maybe I have too much of a, I don't know if it's a reputation or pride or what it is.
I think it's a combination of multiple
Yeah.
things.
So yeah, I just couldn't do that. So props to you for coming up with that too, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like anything that people would like put on the same playing field. And fortunately, people have actually been like, oh yeah, that's kind of like its own thing. And like I'm kind of proud of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When it comes to the whole like out of state growth and shit that we were talking about earlier, any particular city that you've like dreamt about, like this is my dream place to like try to launch something? Because I know there's been people saying like, why doesn't he take it to Dallas?
Yeah.
Why doesn't it take it to Fort Worth? You know what I'm saying? Like that's a fucking metropolis we're talking about.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love Dallas. It's just we've been having trouble finding the right venue, I would feel. Just like we go back, everyone has been using the same one. I don't remember names right now, but yeah, it's that's the main reason. But back to your question, I would say Miami.
Interesting.
Yeah, not because Miami comes as Miami, oh, touristy, palm trees, beaches. Like, no. Maybe because I had a lot of my youth there and spending 2 to 3 months every year out there with my grandparents. So
more of like
it has a
love,
meaning. So
more like a love letter to it.
yeah, but I mean, we haven't had the time to go out there and try to like show face.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't go somewhere and say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm hosting a show. Coming in." So,
And we've actually experienced that before here in El Paso, where it kind of like shot him back in the fucking face. You know? Not to say any names.
Bro, honestly, don't ever tell Abe what city you want to take your stuff to because he's going to try and beat you there. He's going to find an abandoned mall to fucking throw stats mall at. 2, he's going to do something even crazier like, what's the craziest thing you did?
I don't know what. That's the mall.
He's going to host a
sneak
meet and
into
streak.
warehouses that haven't opened.
He's going to host a meet and streak, bro. Oh, he's going to find warehouses?
Empty warehouses.
No, but I actually had something to say about your shows, bro. Because people know that me and him went to WECFest recently, and I mean I wanted to go because I used to live in Dallas and I just wanted to go back to Dallas. Love Dallas, and we noticed like such a difference in the way they run shows, bro. And to me, it was like I thought
You were disappointed.
because Lowclass. Every time I've gone, it's fun. There's always shit to do. There's like random little stuff to do every like 2 hours or like every hour.
You gotta keep people entertained.
Yeah, and then for like, I don't know, how long was it, bro, that show? Do you remember? It was like 5-6
It
hours?
was a couple hours, but we walked through it and that's it, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. We walked through it and that was it.
We
Like,
did
I
a
feel
little.
you. I had that same experience in Austin when we went to WECFest. And yeah.
I mean, again, the quality's there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
everything's cool and shit. Like the brands, some of the brands that they got is sick, but it just needs a little kick.
Yeah, I agree.
Kick, you know. But I mean,
It's
that was-
perspectives, I think.
honestly,
yes, you're going to go see amazing cars that you won't see at any other show. But people are not going to really remember that when you goes back. Like, hey, remember that event we went a couple of years? It was so much fun.
And you know, it's crazy because like I think we've gotten conditioned to what the structure of a low class show is. Even like the videos that I do when it comes to a recap, it's the same structure. And sometimes it pisses myself off because I'm like, damn, it's the same thing. The roll in, obviously, so and so and so, and then the awards, the confetti,
Yeah.
so and so. Like it's kind of like the same structure in my videos. I know exactly how to shoot it because I know how the show goes.
Yeah.
And so when we go to the other ones, it's like, it feels weird. I don't feel like I'm at home.
You feel naked.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm at home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it just feels strange. It feels
Yeah.
different. Like even the people who are handling it seem so like stressed
serious,
about,
right?
Yes,
Like so
yeah.
leaning
Exactly
towards it.
leaning
Yeah, I
towards
get
the
you.
business of it, and
Uh-huh.
like you just can sense the lack of passion.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a craft anymore. It's
I
like a
agree.
responsibility at this point, which boils down to remembering the last Springfest, which was like a revolution of like what Springfest was known for. Scorching sun in March sometimes in April. Sometimes people are like, dude, it's fucking hot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All there is beer, fuck, you know,
Yep.
water ran out. And that's just the thing people would say out there as like spectators.
Yeah.
But with this one changing up, the people who didn't go, I always told them, like, you fucking missed out. Because, for example, my best friend, she was like, oh, I'm not going to go. It's the same shit. It's going to
Yeah.
be hot again, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And nah, bro, you were wrong. Like, you were wrong. You missed out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
sure, you
Name
get there. Marla, sure. Again, you get in there and like, okay, it's the sun's up, but it starts coming down. Oh, you it's not that bad anymore. You know what I'm saying? Now you get the energy to get
Yeah.
up and look around, talk to people, and people stick around even longer because it's chill. You know what I'm saying? Sure, there was a little bit of wind last time, but it's
Yeah.
under control. You know what I'm saying? But
sure.
what incited you to like decide to do it? Hey, let's do it at night. Because was it the fact that you might have heard that people were saying like it's the same thing every year?
No, definitely not. I mean, you go to any show every year, and if you see it from that point of view, it's going to be the same thing every year. So it's really how you're going to aim and look at anything, really, not just a show. You're going to go back to anything that you do.
Right.
It's the way you point it at and the way you see things, you know. So honestly, one of the main reasons was issues with the previous venue. Yeah, every year the fees were ridiculously increased. So yeah, it was up until a point that I said, nah, not no more.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, I thought about even not doing the show because of the lack of venues that we have here. What do we have? 3?
Right.
The Coliseum, the Convention Center, and now the War Eagles.
Yeah.
So
And you know it's crazy because it comes full circle. Like the first, what would have been Springfest,
Yeah.
is a hangar, and then
right next door.
and then it comes back to like the whole like airplanes and stuff.
Yep.
You know, it's super interesting because I remember a lot of people verbally being disappointed about drifting not being a thing, which is out of your control.
Yeah.
If it would have been able, like if you would have been able to do that, obviously you would have done that. But
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
lot of people who are like, hey, it's not this year.
I ask every year, man. I know that's one of the things that brings people and extra activity. You could have 3 other activities going on, and people are still going to be watching the drifting.
Even if there's not even cars going, they're
Yeah,
just waiting.
exactly. So they just go for that, and I agree. And you know what? Like, I've tried.
But you know what?
I've tried everywhere.
You know what? The general consensus, again, I use that word a lot, but it's true. Like, drifting really didn't make an absence felt last year. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because the vibe was just so like.
It was too chill, huh?
Exactly. Not
Last
just
year
that.
was-
Not just that. It gets crazy in the night. It kind of is like borderline scary because it's like, okay, like it gets dark. Like, okay, what's going on? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Coyotes out there.
this, like, people weren't really complaining about saying like there's no drift because they didn't
Yeah.
really need it at this point.
Yeah, I would think the people that bothered or took the time to go knew what they were getting into. And I mean, you don't want to go because there's no drifting. That's acceptable.
Yeah.
But there's always the crowd that supports and will go no matter what and tries to have the fun that we try to give,
Right.
if you want to call it that. So, yeah.
No, I generally think that was like the most engaging Stringfest as of like I don't know. I just think like
Yeah.
the switch of it, the change of pace was like perfect.
Yeah,
perfect
the
timing
night,
too.
the night too. The night
Yeah.
part was cool. The whole airplane stuff was cool. I think just the setting that we had, the whole stage being right in front of the hangar,
Right.
helped a lot. For
And
sure.
you know what's crazy is like because I noticed also like when we were hosting meets and stuff, a lot of our biggest turnouts were at night in the summers, and I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of people took note of that because you would always see the meets happening in the morning. Everybody was trying to do Cars and Coffee. Everybody was trying to do
Yeah.
Cars and Coffee, and I realized that those flopped a lot. And then we and other people started doing them at night, and they would pop off. So I feel like I said like. It wasn't necessarily a trend, but it was like I feel like it's something not everybody figured out that night stuffs really do pop off. And it was a gamble. I honestly think it was a gamble, bro.
It was something that I didn't even take into consideration, if I'm being honest. I think the only thing that I said was that, okay, it'd be cool to have some kind of like a hot import night kind of deal with a bunch of lights, construction lights all around. I mean, making it like a vibe. So I think it worked.
Yeah, no,
So
I agree. 100%.
my biggest thing now is hoping to match last year's vibe. So we'll see how that goes.
I mean, I know the word of mouth is always the same thing. It's like,
Yeah.
you're gonna go. You're gonna go. Everybody does the prepping for Spring Fest. That's what everybody works towards.
Yeah.
They put their cars away in the winter, and it's Spring
What
Fest.
winter?
I know, right? Dang, the 2 days that we had.
I know.
But yeah, like that's usually what it is, and I mean, I do think so. Like I'm already looking forward to it. I'm kind of jittery about it because it's so like it's already around the corner, and we always say that it's around
Yeah.
the corner.
I
You
know.
know,
It
what I'm saying?
always is around the corner, unfortunately.
It always
Crazy.
I wouldn't know because I was working last year, so I wasn't able to go.
Oh yeah, you
Dang.
missed out. You missed out.
Oh yeah, my bad. I'm sorry that I was out of town working.
You missed out.
Actually, dude, I didn't go because you said no drifting. I was like, fuck that.
Hey, I just
Just
I
kidding.
hate you.
Oh wait, actually, I just looked it up right now here on my laptop.
What is it?
So obviously, I think you already know that there's a venue opening for the amphitheater in the Northeast.
Oh, yeah. I'm already on it,
Okay,
bro.
and then there's actually another one called Independent Nation opening by Sunland Park Drive.
He knew before they bought the land. Trust.
Yeah.
Do you know about that one too?
No, I didn't know about the Sunland one.
So supposedly, what I'm looking at right now is that they do want to make it.
Hey, don't make this public.
No, so I mean, it might be focused on like sporting events.
Nice.
But you know that kind of stuff probably has a big lot. So.
Yeah, I don't even think. Do we actually have like baseball fields that are multiple, like kind of like a tournament vibe that
Well,
you
actually,
have?
I think it's gonna focus on combat sports,
Oh,
like
Oh.
boxing, MMA, stuff
That's
like
cool.
that.
So kind of like a small cramped tiny type of thing.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure it should be like a convention style, no?
well, it might be all of those things, and then we might fit 300 cars, but it's until you reach out and they say no, we don't allow car shows here.
I know, dude. Even like
It's too new.
dude. Another note. EP, bro. They
So
need a
close-minded, man.
yes. El Paso needs to like.
And UTEP, you're
their-
watching this. Balem.
Dude, I try to do something super small on like Parks and Rec. They're like, no, we don't want
Nope.
cars in the grass.
Yeah.
Bro, it's yellow.
Yeah.
Like, you know, how much
Patches
worse
in
can
the
it get?
patch, yeah.
Like, how
Oh
much
my
worse can
God,
it get,
dude.
bro?
Don't get me started
It's-
on that subject.
Which is when I knocked on the Solana, bro. When it happened, like, I was super shocked when they're like, yes, let's do it. Because, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Bad
They
city,
needed
we're
you,
watching
man.
this.
I should
They
have.
needed you.
To an extent,
For sure.
I think so. And then management has changed. It's been a little difficult lately, but like I think we're still like on the boat with that.
Drop
Yeah.
the date.
It's already there, April 5th. Was gonna say another half. I want to go to Redoso. What is it that triggered you for like Redoso to start it? Because I know it was a very specific like outline to make that show happen. It's like you decide, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do an opening night. What led you to the hotel? What made you decide I wanted to do it a 3-day thing? Because that's the only thing that we know of that is a multiple day thing.
I think the whole 1 day thing, especially for traveling, it's a
It gets
little bit
tough,
of
yeah.
a pain in the ass, especially for expenses, like making it worth the time. So what got me there? Werther Sea.
Yeah.
Werther Sea. All day Werther Sea. All every year since I started, man, Werther Sea.
That was like the
Yes.
painting on the picture.
Yeah,
to
look it up. You don't know about Werther Sea? Look it up on YouTube, man. Excess
My-
car night. Oh my god.
My brother's always calling it Redoso Sea. Redoso Sea. Like,
yeah,
oh,
so
shut up.
it goes back again to the European hangs.
Yeah.
And where I would say my roots came from. And that whole idea of being in the mountains, man,
Yeah.
it's super cool. And there's a bunch of events now that I see. Hell yeah, do it. Why not? Go out there. Just don't ruin it. Save it.
And then like it's kind of like a no-brainer. Like I feel like I think there was like other car related stuff prior to that, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's so strange because like it's right there. It feels like why didn't anybody think of it sooner? You
I
know what I'm
know.
saying? And it's like, do you ever beat yourself like a head on the walls? Like, why didn't I think of
Yeah,
this shit sooner?
in a way, yeah. But you also think about the people that are here in this town. Like, why didn't they do another Spring Fest sooner, or any other event sooner?
Yeah, you're right.
Like a track sooner, for fuck's sake, dude. Like, all you millionaires out here in El Paso, man, go put in a track.
Instead,
You'll
we got
get
a-
thousands.
Instead, we
of
got a
people.
baseball stadium.
Yes, I mean that's understandable, but come on. It's crazy. That's a topic that I find a little bit crazy.
Cruz Azul America comes and they outnumber the attendance for the Chihuahuas.
Exactly. So
That's crazy.
Not even
Fine.
that, bro. Hey, Golden Drift track coming soon.
Shut up,
do
bro.
it, Jonathan.
They've been on his ass
I've
about
been
it.
saying that every episode.
They're like, hey, is this happening? Anyway, more DMs to him. Where do you see Lowclass being in the next 5 to 10 years? 'Cause you never know what's gonna happen. I don't know. Like, did you see Lowclass being here where it's at 10 years ago?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I didn't even see myself out of town the way we've been 5 years ago.
Mhm.
I didn't see myself in an overall point of view where I'm at in life 2 years ago.
Right.
So it's hard, man. It's definitely something that I think about every day, if I'm not gonna lie. And we'll see how long it lasts in reality. Because sometimes I say, yeah, I love doing this, and I do. But you want to try out new things in life.
Everything is temporary.
Yeah, exactly. So I've actually been thinking of doing something else. I think it'll come when it comes.
Right.
I'm not going to be like, okay, this is it for this, and I'm going to start on this.
Right.
So we'll see. I don't know. That's a
really interesting.
I definitely would say not even year by year, every 6 months.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And
so-
people sometimes find it shocking. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, what are you looking for? I don't know.
Yeah,
And then it just pops up into an idea.
definitely.
And then you just,
Yeah.
and you plant it.
Ridoso, 6 months before it was announced the first time, I had no idea I was going to do it.
Mhm.
And it was up until I started going there more often and finding out they actually had a convention center and all this space that could have been worked in, and the hotel right next door, all that just,
Like all the pieces.
it just landed perfectly. I was like, dang, this is it. Like, and like you said, like they allowed you in the mall. You go to any other hotel, most likely they're gonna tell you what the hell.
no.
Yeah, those people opened their doors. Shout out to you guys at in Ridoso. Anyone and everyone, honestly, opened their doors. They put a bar there for us, live music. We had food. Like, who's really gonna do that? If you
Right.
don't have a contract with me, you can't be selling food. You can't be giving away food. You can't be having drinks here with cars. Like, no, they were open-minded overall, and thankfully people have respected it from the beginning. So I think that's why that event has worked out so well. It's just such a vibe.
Hey, it's crazy because all these cities that have like heavy tourism, you're despised as a tourist. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? A lot of people
Yeah.
don't want you as a tourist.
Yeah.
But Ridoso is like, please come.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
obviously it's a part of like stimulating the economy. I get
Yeah.
it. But at the same time, like everywhere you go is always like super welcoming in Ridoso. You hardly ever come into like a nasty face.
Yeah, of course.
So that's something like to take note of for the people who haven't been to Ridoso.
Definitely.
What's his name? JSS JD. It was his first year going. He's from Germany, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Photographer from Germany.
Oh yeah. I think I talked to him. one
Right,
time, yeah.
and he's like, dude, like I'm gonna be in Germany like for the next one, and like I want to fly back. Like he wants to fly back for that, and I'm like,
Hell
damn,
yeah.
dude, like fuck yeah, that's how much he enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because he's like,
So he did go already.
yeah,
Oh,
he went
hell
this
yeah.
last one. He went
Nice.
to the last one.
Nice,
And he was only there for like a day, and I was like, dude, you didn't even
Yeah,
experience
you need
everything.
to do the 3-day weekend.
Exactly, and that's what I tell everybody.
everybody. Suck it up. Get a room with 4, 5, 6 of your homies. You got to sleep on the floor. Take turns.
Similar.
It's worth it, man.
Yeah, and like
it's worth it.
Take turns at your
the
homies.
people that-
Dude. Yeah, bring an inflatable bed. You nasty motherfucker.
Cuddle
what you're
up,
talking about,
cuddle
man.
up. Turn on the- it's funny because like I always get those guys that are like, I'm just gonna go to the show, and they just drive up for the show. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Exactly. Why? Like the show is just the end of it.
It's like an afterthought at this
Yeah.
point. And I'm not saying like the work is not put into it. Obviously it is,
Yeah.
but it's like, okay, we're just gonna just do the show, and because everyone's already done of being hungover.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
But,
That's,
It's
I
totally
missed,
fine.
I missed the first weekend that I was able to go to it. And I forgot the reason why. I think it was because I had just met Abe, and he just told me, he's like, oh, next week I'm going to go do this. And I was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah,
shit.
put it on me, bro. It's my fault, huh?
No. You're the one that, like, put me
Told
on.
you. Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, but, like, should I just go to the show or what? And he's like, nah, bro, you have to go all weekend.
It's
And I was
'cause you
like,
know what
oh, It's
happened?
too soon for me to do it.
That's because you know what happened. The whole like premise of like the idea was super like enticing as a car like enthusiast or as a photographer, bro. Like it was a no brainer for me, you know. And the first time was it 21?
I think so.
I think right. It wasn't 20.
1, 2, 3.
It had to have been 21.
Yeah, next year's our 5th year.
Yeah, so it had to be 21.
This year.
This year.
What the hell?
Yeah, and the
Damn.
first year that I went, I experienced it, and it's like, yeah, I'm not settling for less.
Yeah.
I'm coming for all 3 days.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's crazy because multiple of those times that I've gone, it's called in one day or no call, no show one day. Like I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people like you're not about it.
And then actually, so ever since that time I missed it, I straight up have gone with my wife. So we've gone 2 times, and
Just to fight. Nah, just kidding.
what the fuck?
I'm kidding,
This
bro.
fucking guy. He's just mad because he's been getting dumped lately.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Always-
and I'm not gonna say those. No, but I've been going with my wife, and we've just had such a good time, bro. And we just like the vibe of getting the room there, and everything's there.
Mm-hmm.
We wake up, we go get breakfast, bump into you guys. You don't even say hi to me, and
What
then
Bro, he paints everybody to be an asshole, bro. It's just-
what do you mean?
yes, you're always painting me as an asshole.
Bro, you are an asshole.
Shut your ass up, bro.
I'm just kidding.
Every episode.
No, but no, it's a weekend that me and my wife have actually started to look forward to because we just get away from like everything, bro. Like here, and it's,
I
like,
really
dope.
think you don't really have to fully be into cars to go out there and enjoy it. Like you could just kind of like cars, and you know a friend that's going, and you end up going because of them.
You're over here like.
And next thing you know, you're hooked like everyone else, and you're coming back next year.
And you go to bed 2 a.m, and then.
Oh my god. Yep.
Just kidding. Nah, it's a
Out there
vibe,
at
bro.
the cabins, is that how it is?
It's a vibe. Yeah, you can hear like it from a
Oh.
distance, especially after the cruise. That's when the roads are the loudest. Because you're like, we were in the mountains. We had like our own private meet.
Yeah.
And you could hear some like in the distance. It's super. It's such a vibe because you just
Yeah.
hear the birds and then. I don't know, it's super cool.
It's not like Gad, where it's like all
Oh,
throughout the
dude.
night, just like
No, dude,
Damn.
it's just it's a nightmare, low key.
But it's nice because you actually get to sleep, bro.
What do you mean?
I mean, at Ruidoso, you actually get to
Oh,
sleep.
yeah. I mean, honestly,
out there, you're just peer pressured by
Yeah.
everyone, I'm guessing.
kind
Yeah.
of.
That's how it used to be back in Vegas in the Woos days.
Yeah.
You're going to bed at 4. What the hell, man? We're going to watch the sunrise with
Literally, bro.
everyone at the rooftop. What
Bro,
the?
we're-
All right.
We're about to leave. We're getting ready to bed so we could leave at 6 a.m.
Damn.
It was already like midnight. Some of the guys out there were like, "Hey man, I want to meet you. You should pull up, bro. Come on." I was like, "Bro, we leave tomorrow, like at 3, 4 in the morning or whatever." And just come on, dude. Traffic was insane. It was like an hour drive. It was supposed to be a 15-minute drive, but the traffic was so bad out there, it was gonna make it turn into an hour.
Damn.
We actually decided to go out there, and then they got kicked out. So it's like,
Oh.
but it's just like the
We
peer
were in
pressure.
traffic so long that they shut it down.
Oh.
Yeah, the peer pressure is insane. Like you
Crazy.
said. After they get in the game, what's the most valuable lesson you learned after like what you do for the car shows and stuff?
Friendships, definitely.
Mhm.
I wouldn't, like I said before, and I don't think I finished saying it because I got distracted. If I wouldn't have the friends or people that are with me throughout it all the whole year, either helping or hanging out, I don't think I'd be doing this, honestly. It's just not worth the time,
Right.
in my eyes. So, yeah, definitely the friendships I've made along the way, for sure.
Yeah, like taking note. Felt
I
that.
actually, now that you say that, is there like a brand that you would want to have like a good friendship with that you would want to be like at low class shows?
I had many, I think, and I'm thinking like big following kind of brands that like we reached out, but I think I got to a point that you just need to find a level of a stopping point or a piece because you don't want to ask anyone anything anymore. So I don't think of that anymore. I used to think like, oh man, how cool it would be to
Collab.
have the Toyo truck out here with cars or Liberty Walk out here with some cars, but it's just impossible. Honestly, I
Yeah.
would say that now is just so hard. It's
And
just-
like I wouldn't necessarily call it complacency, like oh
Yeah.
I'm just settled. No, but I get it. Like it's more so like damn, this is difficult because like when I see it's corporate level at that
Yeah.
point. You're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
like the big sponsors that are like just you're talking like, the industry stuff like you have no control over.
definitely.
Well, he did mention Toyo to answer your question. He said Toyo, yeah.
I'm
You're-
emailing them right now.
You're
I'm gonna send them this podcast.
imagine. Hey, we want to be. So,
Hey, I have the
I'm
name
sending
of
to
the
you,
manager that told me that stuff at SEMA.
Oh shit!
Just kidding, man. That business card lasted like 6 months and I gave in.
She,
That's all good, man.
your dream car is the Porsche your dream car?
I would say it partially is.
Partially. How so?
I think everyone wants a GT3 RS at one point, but my now unaffordable dream car has always been an F40.
Oh,
So I think that went from 5-7 years ago, affording it at one point in life to now millions practically. So I think the F40 is for sure in my book, but I would settle for a 911, an 82, 83.
girl said saddle.
Yeah. I mean, some
Yeah.
light.
Some light. Tell us about the car. When did you get a hold of that?
My car?
Yeah.
I bought it.
Because there's a reel on you when you like were trailering and shit, and then that kind of blew up. Like that, with like the before and
Yeah.
after of that.
I bought it in 2019. I still had my wide body GLI back then.
I remember that.
So that was honestly my first big sacrifice I made towards the brand
Mhm.
because I was never the one to see stuff that way.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I did for many reasons. I think it helped overall. But yeah, 2019 was the year I got it, and I just dumped all my savings into the car and the body kit, dude.
Just like
Everything. It wasn't even a fuck it. It was like a, holy shit, dude. I
Yeah.
hope I don't fuck this up because I wanted it, but you also had the responsibilities because that was actually the first year that I moved out of my house, my parents' house.
Oh shit.
So I was like, damn, bro, I'm doing this dumb shit right now.
It's a
That
big roll of the dice.
yeah. So there it goes, the payment on the car, and it was from auction, so it's not like I could finance anything.
Yeah.
And the payment from the kit, which was the same thing, same story. So
And it's funny because like the way you say, because Jonathan also says like when they ask him, "Hey man, what do you do?" and like, "How did you afford this car?" and like bad financial decisions.
yeah, exactly.
You know.
Just
And,
like anything in life, the good things, you just gotta say fuck it sometimes.
Yeah. And you know it's crazy because like I've told Jonathan multiple times that his car is already synonymous with the brand.
Yeah.
And like to a degree, it's gonna be a little difficult to separate them if it ever comes to the point where he like decides to part ways with it and move
Yeah.
to something else. How do you feel about that? Because like, like you might not see it this way, but everybody outside is already like you said, like put it towards the brand.
Yeah.
They've put the Porsche synonymous with Lowclass, and I know you've branded it. You put it to a certain degree. Obviously, that's what
Yeah.
you're aiming for. But how do you feel with the Porsche being the synonym for Lowclass? Is that what you were just aiming for from the get go?
Yeah, for sure. Aside attracting people with it, at first I wasn't so happy with the quality of the, I guess, quote unquote build of it, but eventually it turned out to everything I ever wanted it to be.
Right.
So yeah, definitely happy with it.
Yeah, because like I said, it's already. I think you succeeded in making that happen. Like
Yeah.
the point of making it like synonymous with the brand. So every time that I try to do something with like a low class flyer, I have to try so bad.
Yeah, that's
tooth
what I
and
tell
nail.
people. No, choose another car.
Yeah.
man. Like that thing is cool and all, but come on, it's not
Man,
that
it just
cool.
looks so good on the flyers, dude. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes I have to replace, and I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
I wish I couldn't.
I don't know. It's just my point of view. I feel people get tired of it, but maybe not. I mean, I don't have it out a lot or at all, but
It's crazy though, because every time it's out, it still drags the people to come look at it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, sure, I think playing a part, like, was something that plays a part in that is not taking it everywhere. Obviously,
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously,
and I don't do that on purpose, honestly, because I have meets that I want to go, and it's just life, man.
it's on the far, it's on this side of town.
Yeah, it's not even that because sometimes if you don't drive your car, you should drive it for a long time or a long drive.
Right.
And but it's just things happen and just so much shit going on nowadays when you get older that I don't know. Maybe it sounds like an excuse.
Nah. I feel like
I know some people will understand that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think so. I think multiple people that I've talked to that have the same like situation where their car is considered like exotic or
Yeah.
a little out of the ordinary have the same situation because first off, the reason why they can afford it is because they're probably a very busy person. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Or you buy it at a ¿cómo se llama? Insurance auto auctions.
oh yeah, or that. But
yeah,
I don't know. I just
if not, that wouldn't have happened.
yeah no that's
And the year it did happen, I think everything just clicked. Because I bought it right before COVID, man. And you go and look at those cars now, even if it's salvaged, like
Yeah.
Isaac says, pinche yonke salvage title.
la lamina.
Yeah. So you won't find it for under 22.
Yeah, and I believe
Bone stock.
Bro,
with nothing.
I blame not entirely, but a big part of it I blame social media, bro.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the romanticization, I'm like romancing
Uh-huh.
of like the older vehicles, not just because like they're coming like scarce or whatever, because they're becoming harder to find. I just think romanticizing the
Yeah,
the older
social media
cars
had a
has
lot to do
blowing it up, you know?
with cars people didn't even know they existed, and like, oh my god, look at that!
Exactly.
I want to get that now.
The Supra, bro.
Yeah.
The Supra is probably the best example of like social media just overvaluing a vehicle.
I agree. Another car, going back to your question, was an R34. I always, an RB26 R34, I don't care if it's this small package, anything, but I think as a kid growing up watching Too Fast, Too Furious, the R34 was something that I grew up admiring
Yeah.
and dreaming of. So I think that would be a cool car still to have, because I don't think it's, I mean, some might see it as overrated, but I mean,
if you're closely like remotely interested in any kind of import vehicle and your R34 is not one of your dream cars, you're a fucking liar. Like,
yeah.
you gotta be, or you're trying
Or
to be
even
different.
threes. I think I would settle for a 3.
Yeah.
R33s, I started liking them a few years ago.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
white body.
they're a little
Or
different.
GTRs, yeah, overall.
Yeah.
Not the R5s, though. They're okay.
Yeah.
Big power, but just, I'm a big looks person.
Oh yeah.
Huge. Like,
Aesthetics.
yeah, I'll get the aesthetics first and then the motor, whatever you want.
Same.
But no, if I don't like it from the get-go, from the outside, I don't think I'll ever bother
Mhm.
going into it.
Yeah. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Moving on a little bit back to like the branding and like the journey to all this stuff. Any advice you would give to somebody who's like trying to do this similar, you know, like there's some kind of like the shows and branding and starting this off? Because it's right now it's saturated.
Yeah.
Right now.
I would say consistency, man. Just
Right.
like in anything else that you really want to do in life, be consistent about it and really put an effort to it. It's not going to come from night to the day or a month or two or a year. It'll be years till you actually get something in return. Like I was talking about, and I'm not really trying to put myself on a shelf or anything, but took like 8 years to make something, to make this flourish, if you want to call
Yeah.
it that. So it's a thing that I wasn't really planning on doing, that it just ended up happening. I ended up doing because I always liked it, and it just ended up working for me.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Anything you have looking forward to outside of like the automotive stuff? I know in your personal life you're gonna be getting married.
Yeah,
There's
in
that. There's that. So that's super
Yeah.
awesome. I feel like I just think that a lot of people don't really know like who's necessarily
Yeah.
behind it, and like that's the point of this specifically.
Mhm.
Because me, even having something so small, I mean, with whatever it is that I have, for some reason people are like not willing to approach me directly, or like they'll ask my friends about something
Yeah.
they could easily ask me.
Yeah, just people tend to put people higher for some reason.
Yeah.
I still don't get it.
And that's an
'Cause
experience
you-
John has too. Like,
Yeah, like the people that you get on your DMs, hey, I saw you at a meet, but I didn't want to talk to you because blah, 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 blah. Like, come on, dude, I'm just,
just
another
another guy.
person
Yeah.
like anyone else out
Right.
there.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, other than that, anything you got looking forward to though? Like other than obviously your engagement.
My wedding. Just growing overall, I think every year is a big thing for me, both personally, as a couple, financially, as a family,
Yeah.
for sure. And of course, business wise.
Yeah.
And if it could be done, great. If it could stay the same as last year
Mhm.
and people have the same fun, great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think just try to keep positive and try to keep growing whichever way possible.
Sweet.
Yeah, so
I think that's a good, just kind of like you said, because you're kind of living 6 months to 6 months.
yeah.
So it's kind of difficult to kind of see, what am I looking forward to? Because you never know, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
What are we
Life
looking
is
at?
crazy, man.
Yeah.
Too crazy. Next thing you know, you're gone.
I was actually going to ask you right from like, because I'm still working with the whole Stansmore and shit. Like, I involved you last year. Obviously, a big part of it was because of like the relationship we've already had. You know, established this from just helping you out with some photography stuff, some of the flyers and stuff. Definitely been helping each other out with Stansmore. I mean, me directly. Now that I have you here, like if you wanted to help me, like be sponsor on that.
Yeah.
You know, put you
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
flyer, see if you're interested in the same thing, having it done like last year.
This guy's asking, and I bet you he already has us in the flyer.
I already do. Not because I knew
you don't need to ask. Bro.
Not because I knew you'd say yes, but
Yeah.
because I wanted to know how it looked on the
No,
flyer,
yeah.
you know? So there's gonna be some.
I'm telling you guys, he's a fucking ass.
Nah, you'd be surprised though. I actually do have a lot of flyers of stuff that like I have as ideas that have not even flourished into me knocking on the doors of who it is. That I
Yeah.
So we have a pretty cool idea coming up.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's a few things like an art gallery we're trying to.
Oh,
look
cool.
into,
That'd be nice.
Something like that.
They do have all the space, and there's that whole store that moved out.
Not just that. Not at the mall. There's a whole other studio we're talking into
cool.
out here.
Yeah.
So there's that. We want to.
You really like all that artistic stuff, so I'm sure that'll tickle your pickle on that end.
Yeah, on that end is crazy. Yeah, I know that. Like,
oh, that end.
We
I mean,
wanna-
if you want that end.
cool. I'm just kidding. Every involvement, like I've always been super, like I don't want to say picky, but definitely calculated with who we've involved. And like,
Yeah.
a lot of people when they see our stuff, they're like, "How, bro? How?" Because one of the first things that we ever did was like a private shoot with Benoit, Lowclass, and then like that's how we kind of kicked off. And I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend like, oh, it was just hard work and no,
Yeah.
bro. A big part of the boost was the involvement that Lowclass I was getting myself into, like getting in there, prying myself in between what you guys were doing because you guys would host something small or whatever. And I would butt in with my brother and try to get as much as I could from the cool shit that was popping out of it.
Yeah.
You know, you got the OG homies, you know, Dave and Jordan and Benoit when they were bringing out their shit. I don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing nowadays. They're probably busy, but shout out to them. That's what I tell people sometimes is like, dude, like when Lowclass was popping this shit up, like I was doing the videos and stuff for them. So from the get-go, even though my work kind of sucked, like the stuff that was in the videos was fire.
Yeah.
You know, so that's one thing that I tell photographers is like, bro, you can't post everything you shoot because it's not, you know, you're not getting that engagement because people don't care. And I feel like part of it is like taste, but like I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Like the fact that because my brother knew you guys and like knew a little bit of like where you guys were doing and everything and had like the friends that were actually, I think I talked to you more now than you would even talk to our brother to a certain point, or
Yeah,
even
for
like,
sure.
or even like Dave and like Jordan. Like I talk to them more now than
Yeah.
he does. Like now he's kind of like doing his own thing, kind of. But I kind of want to remind people that like what we did and when we started like with the videos and shit that has culminated to this. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's
For
this
sure.
because of Golden Vapor. Like they notice like it's kind of just like an unraveling of like things back to back. And I just want to remind people that like where we started was also kind of like, I don't want to say leeching, but definitely feeding off of whatever Lowclass
Yeah.
was doing. And I think a big part of it was like you noticing that shit too and be like, hey man, like let's work together, let's figure something out shit. And I kind of just want to remind people that like it's just knowing that there's people out there like recognizing the work that people are putting in
Yeah.
and just trying to work with them too. So I always give people, and sorry that I'm like going off on this, but I just kind
Do it.
of also say that the few people that I've like put around me and shit is the same thing. It's like I realize like, damn, like you got something, let's work to it and work with that together. Of course, it's kind of like some people have kind of like not stuck around. or
Yeah,
whatever,
of course. The more you stick around on something every year, it filters people, and every year you'll have the people that are either the most involved and that you care the most about, or help you the most, or you guys benefit out of each other the most. They'll always be there.
And they just
That's the cool part.
and they just wonder like how's it grown to this much? It's like, dude, it's just honestly,
Exactly.
it's working
People
together.
ask me all the time, dude, what do you do for Golden Vapor to sponsor you at every event? I'm like, I don't know.
Give them a reason to
Yeah.
be like dependable, bro.
Yeah,
That's another
exactly.
thing. Like people don't understand.
It's not
that.
just them. It's everyone that's going to look for something in return, of course. No one's just going to go and dump their money and leave.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's just a lot of work for sure.
And like one thing that I've always said is like
And care, I think it's another word.
right.
Because
Mostly
people just do shit to do shit, you
right.
know?
It's a passion,
Like,
but there's no
exactly.
passion. You
So-
know, I've heard you say it multiple times,
Yeah.
like, dude. There's no fucking passion,
Yeah.
dude.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude.
So there's that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I was just kind of going off on that because I feel like to a certain extent there was a point where there was a lot of people asking things about like Lowclass and Springfield and stuff to me
Yeah.
because that's how they saw like our stuff being so like closely related.
Yeah.
You know, so that was super like for me it was super flattering because they knew like there was some sort of like connection and interlink. So for me it's always been super flattering. Like I've also always put Lowclass like in a pedestal to be like completely honest. Like I've never necessarily like don't want to say like, oh, I'm not glazing, but you can
Yeah.
call it glazing, bro. Like credit where credit is due. Like honestly,
Thanks, man.
that's how it has to be. You got to recognize real to
Thank you.
to be able to figure that shit out yourself.
Thank you.
What are we on runtime?
I don't know, but I just cut your dick writing on 4K.
Shut the fuck up, bro. What's a dick rating on 4K? Nah, bro. Like I said, it's credit where credit is due. I feel like I just never have actually told you like face to face, and I feel like if there's any better place to do it, would be on the podcast.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
So let's talk about really quick just before we close out. I think we're about to hit in about an hour, but Springfest. We already announced. You already announced the flyer. You already
Yeah.
dropped the date, but go ahead and tell whoever it is that doesn't know about it, which I doubt. But dates, times, where? What are we looking forward
March
to?
8th, right?
Yeah, March 8th.
Too many dates, man.
3/8. Yeah.
March 8th at the War Eagles Museum. If you guys want to check it out, you've never been, give yourselves a chance to experience friends and car gatherings. So
Oh yeah.
out here in El Paso, something different, I would say, if you've never been to any of our car shows or a car show overall. It's for sure a good time. They definitely have a bunch of planes out there that are also something to look at. So you do not necessarily only have to go there for the planes. You also get the cars.
Yeah.
So, and a bunch of activities.
So many vendors, probably the best vendors that you have in
Yeah.
the involvement in the car community as well, man. Like we were working on the list and shit, like
Yep.
add this guy to the list.
Yeah.
Add this guy to like fuck, you know?
Yeah, all the backbones.
Yeah. The
all
heavy
the big
hitters.
old sponsors that we thought were going to make us something one day, they were there the whole time without us realizing at 1st.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been there. Shout out to all the sponsors that have been backing us up and all the vendors year after year after year. It wouldn't not have been possible without you guys. So it's even you, man. And every single person that tries to sell a single sticker or a shirt
Yeah.
or someone that comes with the idea of wanting to be like someone else, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to all of you guys supporting
Fuck
that
yeah.
have supporting since the beginning.
Fuck yeah, shout out. Yeah, it looks like that's all we have for this episode of Monday Again podcast. What is it today? It's Friday?
Yeah.
Oddly enough. We'll try to see when we post this, hopefully tomorrow or tonight. But yeah, man, thank you for coming.
No,
thank
of
you for
course.
being
Thank you for
here.
having us.
Fuck yeah, dude. So
Pleasure being here.
Monday again. See you later.